Over the years, I have done a lot of builds, both on and off YouTube, compact and full size. Lately, I've been doing a lot of Mini-ITX small form factor builds, and I really do like that sort of thing, and I will keep doing that for the foreseeable future. But one of the issues I've been running into is that there always seems to be some sort of compromise that you have to make, whether it be you can't fully overclock your CPU, or you're running lower TDP parts, or there's not GPU compatible with your case. There's always some sort of compromise. Well, I set out to make a system that really didn't have any compromises, that gave me all the power that you could really want, generally speaking, and was also still small and compact. So after doing a lot of research, testing a bunch of different cases and components, I finally came up with this. So for this build, I went all out. I picked up the most powerful components I could possibly fit inside the Lazer LZ7. I wanted to build a system that could handle gaming, rendering, pretty much anything I was gonna throw at it, and these components are gonna be able to do just that. For the CPU, I'm going with the Intel Core i7-8700K. Obviously that can be overclocked at 5 gigahertz. We're gonna see how far we can push that. To cool it, I have the Noctua NHL12S. This has quickly become my favorite compact CPU cooler on the market. For graphics, stepping up to the Gigabyte GTX 1080 Mini. This is the most powerful compact 1080 that you can find, so that should be fun as well. For power, I have the Corsair SF450, a great power supply that should have no problem handling these components. Motherboard is going to be the Asus ROG Strix Z370i Gaming. This is obviously the best Mini-ITX consumer motherboard you can get. It has two M.2 slots that support full NVMe speeds, so that's really nice as well. And then for RAM, I'm going with 32 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR4 3000 RAM right there. So that's really good quality fast RAM with decent timing, so that should be really nice. My boot drive is 256 gig Samsung 960 EVO. It's gonna be nice and fast there. I also have dual 500 gig M.2 drives with adapters, so I'm using dual 500 gig drives. They will be for storing my media, games, video files, stuff like that. All that good stuff there. And a secondary NVMe SSD. So this will be my scratch disk. This is an older Intel 600p. So that's an NVMe drive. It's not the fastest, but just for using it for local downloads, stuff like that, it should be pretty good. And the case fan I'm gonna use is the 140 millimeter cryo rig fan. It's a slim fan and it fits in the case. This case requires a slim fan and it can do 120 or 140 millimeters. So last time I built in it, people were killing me for using a brown Noctua fan. So we found a nice black and gray fan for this build. If you've never heard of the Lazer LZ7, it's a really compact and super customizable case. It's one of the more unique cases on the market. I did a full review a couple months ago, so I'll link to that. You can check that out if you want to learn really more details just about the case. I'm not going to go super deep in this video. But since my review, there have been some upgraded options made available. One of them, this is the original top that I got with my first case. It has a nice cutout here for your SFX power supply, as well as the SFX power supply, as well as a cutout for the GPU there, and then the rest is solid. This was a nice top. Obviously, if you're gonna use an SFX power supply, it works perfectly and still does, but there's now a new top available. This guy here, it's completely perforated across the top, and it allows you to do a couple things. One, it gives you increased ventilation. Two, it allows you to mount water cooler on the top here, so you can do an AIO in there, or maybe even a custom loop if you got crazy. So it's really nice. That's a nice little touch there as well. And there's also a bracket in the back that you can use to install DC-DC power supplies, like a HDPlex 400 or a similar unit. My original case also shipped with this side panel, these kind of button connectors. So it looked similar to this on your side panel there. And you had two USB headers right there, audio in, headphone mic, that sort of thing, reset and power button. The problem with this, the only problem really, was that it was a little large inside the case. You're dealing with very tight restrictions in here, because it does get tight when you're cramming a lot of stuff like I am, especially if you're using the hard drive tray. And it kind of made it a little cumbersome. So the new side panel has just a simple cutout for a Vandal switch, which is really nice. I think it looks better and it saves a lot of space internally. So some really cool upgrades. I'll be doing another video covering them in the future, but for now we're just gonna dive into the build. So here we have the cooler installed. I was testing a couple configurations. This was the best fit without taking the heatsink off. I was worried it wasn't going to fit with the extra heat sinks on this motherboard, but it does somehow. There's a little clearance there between the RAM and between the heatsink here. So this was the best orientation for this board. I would have liked to have had the fans going that way since there's intake going this way, but I couldn't with the extra heat sinks. So I'll check this out. If it doesn't cool well, then I'll try another configuration, but it should be fine. Let's get it in the system. So the next step would be installing this fan side panel. So you see I have my 140 millimeter cryo rig fan there. This is the only black slim one that wasn't terrible that I could find. And you can see the Vandal switch here with the wiring. Pretty simple, you know. It'll slot right in there on this side like that. I put some black tape around it to make sure it was sturdy, but it just looks really nice and clean, the whole thing. This fan grill, obviously you can screw on. There are other fan grill options on the website, so just check it out, pick the one you like the most. Also, this plastic part here, this is just the protective covering that comes with it. I leave these on the internal side a lot of times because it just protects from scratches and stuff, but obviously you can just take that off if you don't like the way it looks. But you can't see it once the case is closed, so I just leave them on. And if you're wondering, yes, this is stable. This is completely secure. It's a nice thick piece. I know it's plastic, but it is very thick and robust. You're not gonna have any issues. You can also see the way it kind of lines up there. There's a tiny bit of space between the actual PSU and the cooler. They might even be touching in some spots, but it's not gonna cause an issue. It's definitely not applying any pressure similar to the RAM. It just fits perfectly somehow. Right, so next up, let's go ahead and slide our GPU in. This is the 1080 Mini, so it looks just like the 1070, but it's a 1080. I did a review on that. If you want to see benchmarks for just the GPU, you can check those out. So we're almost finished here, looking pretty good so far. Obviously there's a mess of cables. Once again, custom cables will go a long way. I just have a hard time justifying it since you don't see them once your case is closed up anyway. But custom cables would go a long way in helping out. So last part is this. This is the hard drive caddy or tray. You can install up to two 2.5-inch SSDs on here, as you see. So these are my dual 500 gig SSDs for all my media and files and stuff like that. And instead of using the screws, which it does come with screws to mount these, I just put double-sided tape on because you can drop them a little bit lower. It makes connecting the cables a little bit easier, in my opinion. So, and that slides right in this front area here. So let me wire these up first.
What we do here is go back.
So here we have the system all finished, and I love the way it looks. The black and gray, I think looks really, really cool. I've seen some other really good combinations, black and red, white and red, you know, green, whatever you want to do. Obviously, they have a ton of colors on the configurator that you can use, but I really, really like the way this system looks. So in the front, we have the nice matte gray with the exhaust here for the GPU. Around the side here, you see the GPU, the 1080. You can't really see it. I would probably go with the black card if you're gonna do a perforated side panel. You're gonna need a perforated side panel, but this is really cool. Sometimes I just take the panel off and leave it open. You can do that too. It doesn't really have much impact on performance, but it looks kind of cool, just being able to see your GPU there. Then the back here, you see the antenna. Everything looks nice and clean, all matte. Your exhaust here for your PSU there, really nice. And on the side, the nice fan cutout. It's really nice to have a black fan. Everyone was right about that. It looks much better with the black fan without a gray or brown fan sticking out being ugly. And a nice Vandal switch power button that glows red when you light it up. That looks really cool too. And then around top, we have the nice perforated top panel. Looks really good. Everything, I think, looks great. The black accents with the gray really go well together. The black screws, it looks kind of like a gunmetal-ish finish with the matte. Obviously, you can do more shiny panels as well, but I definitely think the matte is the way to go. It doesn't pick up fingerprints as well, and I think it just looks better, personally. And if you want to see the bottom there, just the feet. Nothing really exciting here, but you do see this little venting here. The Asus Strix board has LEDs at the bottom here, which just happen to line up perfectly with that cutout there. So you can actually see them coming out of the case. So that's the build. I've been using this as my personal rig for a good while now, and I am loving it. I'll do a full video with all the benchmarks, noise levels, temperatures, all that good stuff. Spoiler alert, this thing flies. I am currently running the CPU at 5 gigahertz with no issues. It is a beast. But stay tuned for that. Should be out in the next week or two. Any of the products you saw or anything, I'll drop links for those below as well. You'll also find a link to the article on the website. If you want to see more pictures or anything, I'll do a write-up and maybe go into a little more detail on the article. You can check that out as well. So as always, thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. I'm Jay. This is Tech Everything. I'll see you next time.